Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Battle Beaver custom controller. I believe this is the best pro controller that you can buy. Here's why. You can build your dream controller, build the PS4 controller from the ground up, change the front facing buttons, the front plate, the rear plate, the triggers, the PS button here. You can change every single aspect. You can even add Xbox One thumbsticks on your PS4 controller. And I've been using this controller for exactly 3 years. This year is pretty much coming to an end, so 4 years I've been rocking out with the Battle Beaver custom controller, and I gotta say, it's an absolute beast. Having the buttons on the back, this is my first ever pro controller, is completely game changing. So when you're playing games like Call of Duty, you can easily do the jump shots, drop shots.
Kill them all or die trying. We have the advantage. Keep pushing.
And at the time when I brought this controller, that's when Call of Duty was doing the EXO movement or the advanced movement. So having this controller was definitely an advantage for me because the buttons on the back to jump shot easy or drop shot. It's still practical to this day with Modern Warfare, and it's still working just fine. This controller here, I added a soft touch material. It didn't really age well. As you guys can see, the scratches, the paint kind of is rubbing off. It's a soft touch material for more comfortability. So, you know, when you're playing hours and hours of Call of Duty, you know, it's not going to feel as sweaty. It's going to be a little bit more comfortable. That's what I thought. But it's kind of the same. I mean, it feels good to touch, but it was kind of a gimmick. And like I mentioned, I did add the Xbox One thumbsticks. At the time, I thought Xbox made one of the best thumbsticks in the game. And at the time, the PS4, they were suffering from their analog stick. It was rubbing off. So if you brought the PS4 back in 2013, you faced this issue where the controller analog stick rubber just rubs right off. And I didn't want to risk having that on my custom-made controller, so that's why I decided to add in the Xbox One thumbsticks. But it's no fear right now because Sony fixed that issue a long time ago, so you don't have to worry about that problem. And nowadays you can add interchangeable thumbsticks, so you can change the height, you know, make it medium, tall, short. So yeah, Battle Beaver did mature throughout the years, but at the time the Xbox One thumbsticks were the way to go. I went with the color red just to go along with the, you know, the color scheme of the controller. But as you guys can see, just the red kind of fade away. It just didn't age well, man. Certain things were just kind of gimmicks, but hey, I'm not disappointed. It works fine till this day, and I could really send it in for repair if I really want to, but I really just saved it just for the sake of this video, just to show you guys the heavy usage of the Battle Beaver controller. I also removed the rumble pack, so the controller is super duper light. It's paperweight. It doesn't cost extra to remove the rumble pack, but I just was so curious to see how the controller would feel without it, so that's why I went with that. So now you can have the rumble pack inside the controller, but you could just have it completely disabled. At that point, you're just better off turning off rumble on your PS4 setting if that's the case. Either remove it or just keep it in there active. And also on the right analog stick, I increased the tension. I put it to extreme. Now I know extreme is kind of extreme, but what I mean by increased tension is like the travel of the analog stick. Like it's more sensitive to move around. And this actually helps with the aiming. So when you're aiming on Call of Duty, you don't want a wobbly thumbstick. So it's just so loose. It's not tight. So if you have a tight analog stick, you tend to have better aim. It's more precision. So yeah, you know, it kind of loosened up throughout the time, but it's still very, very, very you know, tensionable. It still has that tension, I should say. And I didn't apply it to my left analog stick just because you're gonna move around with that stick and you don't really want to have that increased tension. It's not necessary. It's only necessary to have it on the right analog stick. Now Battle Beaver did mess up my order. I wanted to have the trigger stop, so when you press on the trigger, it's gonna stop but your gun is going to fire on Call of Duty, so it's like you're pressing down, but it's just enough so it can fire your gun. So it just, you know, it shortens the travel. so you can do something else right after. I did apply it, but they didn't put it on this controller, so I emailed them right away, and they are willing to take my controller and add in the trigger stops or just get my money back. I just decided to get my money back, which was a $15 difference, because I needed a controller at the time. It took like about a month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. You can maybe expedite the shipping if it's available, but I didn't do that. But looking back at my controller now, do I regret this color scheme? It looks good to this day. I mean, it looks kind of rough around the edges. But if I'm making another controller today, I'm making a clear controller. I'm adding the smart triggers this time around instead of the trigger stops. Because the trigger stops, you have to have a tool to adjust it. So I think having the smart triggers will make sense. So it's basically turning your trigger into a button. So it's very, very no travel. Going back to a regular controller now, it's not hard to transition to, but once you go pro, it's hard to go backwards. But you know, with the regular controller, it gets the job done. But with this, now you're talking. Now you're playing the game professionally. Most of the pro players have some kind of pro controller, whether it's Scuff, Battle Beaver, and it's not banned or anything, or it's not illegal to have in the gaming community. The only con I would honestly say is like the shipping time. It takes a little while, but once you wait it out and you get your controller, you're gonna be amazed. You have your dream controller successfully made. So I easily recommend the Battle Beaver custom controller over Scuff. Just having that button, and it's easy to press, it's easy to reach, compared to those paddles being right here on the back. It might be a little harder to press according to the reports, but the Battle Beaver controller is so underrated. It's just such a robbery, man, because they don't really put money towards advertising. The support is good, you know, the customization is excellent, so many aspects that you can change, and yeah, they just a certified beast, man, of a company. And I understand paying money for advertising, it can get a little expensive, but they really should consider of advertising their company to increase some sales maybe. Alright guys, that pretty much concludes today's video. If you guys did enjoy, I appreciate it with a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you guys be notified, and comment down below. Your feedback is always appreciated. Alright guys, until next time, peace.